Awesome, yay, yippee skippy. This is round 2, and I'm looking at reflections of big fun on a shirt, which is what we're supposed to be having right now. I command you all to have big fun, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, and Tom is going to go, nope, no big fun for me, not gonna do it. Anyway, I love your humor. Anyway, for this next round, I am going to read 3 poems, count them 3. They are from the most recent issue of Down in the Dirt magazine. It is titled Sisyphus. I thought it was so funny. I said to my husband, I'm like, John, I have 2 pieces in here. One is just called Sisyphus, and the other one is What Would Sisyphus Do? I'm like, I can't not call it Sisyphus. I can't. I have to do. So I have this cool cover from Sisyphus. I think the imagery is from Pixabay. And I thought this is just actually really, really perfect. So I was going to share with you 3 poems that are in the back of this book. And you're not going to get any images from them. And one of them is a dreams poem. The first 2 poems are from an old show where I believe it was so low light that I couldn't even really accurately do video for it. But I hope you enjoy them. This first one is titled, oh, how perfect. It's titled A Great American. And when listening to Sean Hannity, one of the Republicans' icons in punditry, I hear him say to all veterans, "You're a great American." And then other people later on his show would say that he is a great American. And it becomes like a contest sometimes where everyone who supports Sean Hannity on his show is calling each other a great American. And I'm thinking, he thanks veterans because they fought in a war and protected our country. And I'm thinking, we thank people for finding a loophole to illegally kill people. And we thank people for going through hell in a current war that don't even support. A war not defending our country, but killing our people nonetheless. Hell, people now aren't even in a war. Only Congress can declare a war, and we haven't even been in an actual war since World War II. But I'm sure they're great Americans because they fought for these president-proclaimed wars. Yeah, Sean Hannity thanks veterans because they fought in a war and protected our country. But then he also calls anyone a great America only because they agree with him. You can elevate anyone to that tall pedestal, idolize them, call them a great American, as long as they support the kakistocracy. Hey, we're Americans. We proclaimed ourselves to be the best. We don't idolize anyone. I think it's time we all start thinking the Sean Hannity way and be great Americans again. Thank you. I know it's a weird response one on that one. But here's a humorous one, a news story one. This was from a show called Sin. It was for Scars Internet News, and I had these things up, and so Sin sounded like a good name for it. And this was one short one in there. I hope you guys find it humorous. It is titled Too Many Guns. A crime spree in February in Washington State was not thought through as the would-be robber chose H&J Leather and Firearms as his target. It was his target for money, and beyond choosing a gun shop as his target, he chose to strike during opening hours, where the shop was full of firearms customers. A marked police car parked at the front door was even there, too. He had to actually step past that car, and once the robber saw the officer, they announced the holdup, and he fired a few shots. Well, let us remind you again that this holdup was taking place in a gun shop when he walked in and fired shots. So after the would-be robber fired his shots, the officer and a clerk behind the desk fired back, as did several customers with guns. The robber was killed, but no one else was hurt. Some people just you know, you think maybe this isn't the right way to pull it off. If you're going, I'm going to rob a, there you go. I'm not going to say any more about that, but I am going to say, especially because you were talking about coins and bills and that kind of thing, I want to share the weirdest dream I had. Last time I did a show at the Gallery Cabaret, I got a little time I can talk. I was there, and everybody's like, shush, don't tell her. The man that had started the open mic that I ended up taking over, who had moved to the other side of the country, happened to be in town. And when I look up, there he is, David Rubin, and he just gives me this little bow. And I'm like, David, oh my gosh, what an honor. It was wonderful to see him. And what I remembered before he left is that he was doing dreams poems. I guess maybe David here can appreciate this as well, but if he had a dream, he would remember it and write it down in the morning. And this is what I had done for this. And I would like to share this poem with you, and it kind of talks about money too. And it is titled $8 Bills and Shoeless. Dreams 12, 22, 24. The first thing I remember was all in black and white and looking like an episode of The Twilight Zone. A man in a suit in what looked like a waiting room of an office. He paced around, seemed to frantically mumble words I could not hear, and then walked through one of the office doors. And just like a camera recording in The Twilight Zone, the view just panned over to the secretary, who had the most confused look on her face. If only I knew what this man had said. But then the scene just suddenly morphed, and I was in the scene. I think life was in color now, but I was in an elevator. I guess it was in that office building. I say that I see color, but the elevator walls were metal, and all the colors seemed quite subdued. And kind of like that panicked man in that suit in the Twilight Zone moment, I felt like I had to be somewhere. I was going somewhere, I knew not where, alone in the corner of this crowded elevator. So I looked down, and although I was not out of place in how I was dressed, I had no shoes on. But then the elevator doors opened and everyone started filing out, so I instinctively followed to the door until I realized that this wasn't the lobby, so I stepped back. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I wanted to leave. Anywho, so everyone had left, and I was left there with one woman in the elevator as the doors closed. And like most everyone does in the elevator world, she entirely ignored me and remained in her own hectic business world mindset. And I thought, this woman still doesn't see that I'm not wearing any shoes. And then it occurred to me, people don't pay attention to people's feet. But the next thing I knew, I was out of that elevator. I was somewhere, I knew not where. But in my hand was a bank envelope of money. So I opened it. I saw lots of tens, a few ones, and I thought I should sort this money so that it was in the right order denominationally. So I was moving the tens and the ones, and then I saw that there were $6 bills in there and $8 bills in there. And I thought that there was no such thing as a $6 and $8 bill. But hey, this has to be right. I mean, it came from a bank. And that is when I realized that I have to remember, wait a minute, that I have $2 bills. So I have to remember to put them in there too, but, you know, in the right order. I've got a thing of $2 bills. I've got a strap of twos. I should be able to pull it out and be like, look, $2 bills when I show it to you guys, because whenever I go anywhere, I tip them with the $2 bill and they think it's the coolest thing. It's the same money, but nobody uses it. So why not? So $8 bills, but you know, they have to be right because, I mean, it came from a bank. This is where's my brain going. Craziness, I know. All right, so yeah, you didn't have to hear anything from The Universe is in Your Hands in that round. You just heard some weird stuff from me. Thank you guys for listening. And then, yay, please give it up for our Zoom hosts. Take your time with them, my darling. Give it up for David, and the stage is yours. Take it away.